Welcome to part 2 of 2 parts for Dr. Travelbest podcast. This is about 90 days around the world travel, a special edition. We're on question number 7. What did you learn about yourself? Was asked by you to Dr. Travelbest. That's me, and here's my answer. I learned that making decisions is probably the best skill to have when traveling solo. Unless I made a decision, I was not going anywhere. I also learned that I could do a lot more than I had expected of myself. Resiliency was one of my takeaways from this adventure. Question 8. Often, when we are courageous, it builds up the muscles and makes you crave to do it repeatedly. Does this ring true for you? My courageous muscle has been working hard. I read Ryan Berman's book, Courageous, and that also inspired me to make this journey. An example of this is that by the end of the trip, I was getting really good at navigating using the many tools on my smartphone. I was excited to use them instead of dreading it. Question 9. If you could go back and tell yourself something just before you boarded that first plane, what would it have been? Great question. Bring an ATM card for just in case. When I left, I had plenty of cash, so I thought. It would have been so helpful if I had brought the plastic. I did not use cash much at all after leaving Asia, but it would have been helpful instead of these currency exchanges that charged a lot. Question 10. Did you have any doubts or fear during the journey? Yes, I did, especially in India and Italy. In India, I was challenged in ways you would expect in the world's most populated country in a foreign language. In Italy, I was caught on a bus without payment. And because I had already downloaded the app, signed up for the service, but I couldn't activate my payment, I couldn't get text back to the U.S. bank. I had to pay a steep fine, which I understood was the penalty for not having payment. Due to the language and other technical barriers, I was disappointed. What about the best food and best place you stayed and best weather? Well, here's a list. For food, I really enjoyed the pizza in Florence. Thin crust with just the right ingredients. And I loved the butter and creams in Ireland and Scotland. Those were so tasty. One of my best stays was in a town called Kerala or Cochin, India. The family sent their driver to pick me up at the airport. They had many servants, and they were able to help me adjust to the different food tastes. They had separate meals without chilies for me. And what was my favorite weather? That was Iceland. The rest of the trip was really very hot, so the final stop was cool, not cold. It was pleasant every day, even a bit rainy, which was refreshing. And now for the worst food, the worst place I stayed, and the worst weather. I think the worst food was Chennai, India. It was like a fire going off in my mouth, even when I asked for not spicy. The chilies were just so hot. So I had to eat from a jar of peanut butter to make sure I got my nutrition, and that lasted for a couple of days. The worst place I stayed was a Manila hotel. It was really a hostel that was trying to upgrade. I should have paid a little bit more and booked maybe further outside of the city. The mini kitchenette was a broken tiny refrigerator and sink. Nothing more than that. It was dishonest. And a repairman walked into my room without knocking. I complained, but got very little response. What was the worst weather? I think Cambodia was the worst because it was just really, really humid and sticky all the time. And now the last question. 13. Can you tell me any words of inspiration for others thinking about pushing themselves into something courageous? The answer is, if you have a goal, break it into pieces so you can take it one step at a time. Kind of like my book, 5 Steps to Solo Travel. You can reward yourself for mini milestones. How did I reward myself? I had a few massages on my trip. Yes, I did. Not only for the physical therapy, but also as a mental reward for staying the course. These massages were really cheap in Asia, but not so much in Europe after that. But I still did it. So thanks for listening to this. Please follow and share these comments. Put your comments in. And what questions did I not answer of yours? I may do another special edition if you ask for it.